What if a single event could bring an entire continent to its knees? Imagine the year 1347, merchant ships dock at the Sicilian ports, returning from their far-off voyages, but they bring with them more than just goods and riches. They carry a silent, unseen passenger, the Black Death. The symptoms of this unknown disease are horrifying. Victims suffer from high fevers, aching limbs, and a chilling sense of dread. Before long, the afflicted begin to show dark, blackish patches on their skin, the ominous sign from which the plague takes its name. People are struck with terror. Their initial reactions a mixture of fear, confusion, and disbelief. The streets, once bustling with life, now echo with the cries of the sick and the dying. The once lively marketplaces stand silent, the air heavy with an unspoken dread. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of a horror that would redefine their world. In a matter of months, the Black Death spread like wildfire across Europe. This rapid spread was largely due to the lack of proper sanitation and a fundamental misunderstanding of disease transmission. Medieval Europe was not a place known for its cleanliness, and this lack of hygiene provided the perfect breeding ground for the bacterium Yersinia pestis, the cause of the Black Death. The disease traveled along trade routes carried by fleas on the backs of rats, which were commonplace in towns and cities. It was also spread by human-to-human contact through the respiratory droplets of the infected. As people fell ill, they were often abandoned, their homes marked with a painted sign of death. Fear and uncertainty reigned, as no one knew who would be next, and the numbers were staggering. It's estimated that the Black Death claimed the lives of around 75 million people, reducing Europe's population by a shocking 30 to 60%. Imagine nearly 2 out of every 3 people you know gone. Entire villages were wiped out, leaving nothing but ghost towns in the wake of the disease. But it wasn't just the immediate death toll that was so devastating. The Black Death also had a profound impact on the social fabric of Europe. With so many people dead, there were fewer workers, leading to labor shortages and social upheaval. Many survivors were left with a sense of impending doom, a feeling that the world was coming to an end. Despite its horrific nature, the Black Death also acted as a catalyst for change. It exposed the vulnerabilities of feudal society and the church, leading to questioning and ultimately reform. It ushered in an era of scientific discovery as people sought to understand and prevent future outbreaks. The Black Death was not just a disease, it was a catalyst for change. The world as medieval Europe knew it was irrevocably altered, forever marked by the shadow of the Black Death. The aftermath of the Black Death was as significant as the plague itself. This cataclysmic event created a seismic shift in the social and economic fabric of medieval Europe. The plague's merciless culling of the population brought about an unprecedented labor shortage. This scarcity of workers led to a decline in feudalism, the socio-economic system that had dominated Europe for centuries. The lords of the manor, desperate to keep their lands productive, found themselves having to negotiate with the surviving peasants, offering them wages and better conditions. This was a stark contrast to the days when peasants were tied to the land, owing their lords a debt of service. The Black Death, in all its horror, inadvertently empowered the working class and set the stage for the end of serfdom. Economically, the Black Death had a profound impact as well. The drastic reduction in population led to a surplus of goods, causing prices to fall drastically. However, the scarcity of labor meant that the cost of services soared. This created a bizarre economic paradox. While material goods were abundant and cheap, the cost of human labor skyrocketed. This period of inflation caused a significant shift of economic power from the nobility and the church, who owned the land and the goods, to the peasants, who now controlled the labor market. Moreover, the plague disrupted trade routes, causing a decline in long-distance commerce. Local economies became more self-sufficient as people started to produce what they needed, rather than relying on goods from afar. This shift led to the rise of localized economies and a decline in the influence of major trade hubs. In many ways, the Black Death was the great equalizer, breaking down the established hierarchies and redistributing economic power. It forced society to adapt and change, paving the way for the rise of the merchant class and the beginnings of capitalism. The Black Death restructured society and reshaped the economic landscape of Europe. It was a time of great loss, but also a time of transformation and rebirth as old systems fell and new ones rose in their place. In the face of such devastation, the people of medieval Europe sought answers and solace. As the Black Death ravaged their world, their faith in the Church, once unshakable, began to wane. Many questioned how a benevolent God could allow such suffering. This crisis of faith led to a shift in cultural and religious paradigms. Art and literature became crucial outlets for this collective grief and disillusionment. They began to reflect the grim realities of the plague, often portraying the dance of death, a haunting reminder of the fragility of life. This period also saw a surge in works that criticized the Church and its perceived failures. Simultaneously, the plague fostered a more questioning, skeptical society. The unquestioning obedience to authority, particularly religious, was replaced by a more critical and inquisitive mindset. This shift laid the groundwork for the intellectual and cultural revolutions to come in the following centuries. The Black Death left a lasting imprint on the collective psyche of Europe. The Black Death was a dark chapter in human history, but it also sparked profound changes. This catastrophic plague that swept across Europe in the 14th century was not just an agent of death and despair. It was a catalyst that altered the course of history. Its arrival and rapid spread devastated populations, but it also exposed the vulnerabilities in society and the urgency for scientific understanding. The overwhelming loss of life led to significant social and economic shifts. A labor shortage created a demand for skills and labor, opening opportunities for social mobility. Economically, it prompted a transition from feudalism to a more modern economic system. Culturally and religiously, the Black Death provoked introspection and skepticism, leading to a shift in power dynamics and paving the way for the Protestant Reformation. As we reflect on this period, we realize that even in the darkest moments, humanity finds a way to adapt, evolve, and press on. Yes.